As I've been reading through the Bible with you during this past year, I have been increasingly amazed at what an incredible book the Bible is. Just think about it. The words, the real words of the living God, the God of the universe. And we can hold them in our hands. We can access them on our devices anytime we need to hear His voice. And our speakers and our teachers, our pastors can do the same. They can dig into those words and then use those words to encourage and strengthen the body. But I've also been increasingly perplexed at the portions of that amazing book that are just simply grossly underused. Take, for instance, the book of Romans, chapters 9, 10, and 11. As I've had the privilege to travel around and speak to pastors and teachers literally all over the world, I've been astonished at the numbers of them that have told me they have never preached or taught from Romans 9, 10, and 11. 1 through 8, yes. 12 through 16, yes. But Romans 9, 10, and 11, absolutely not. And that, my friends, is a tragedy. It's a tragedy because it's in those 3 chapters that Paul writes some of the most important words he ever wrote. It's in those 3 chapters that we find his treatise, if you will, on Jewish-Christian relations. It's where we find him laying the foundation for the relationship between Israel and the church, and then telling us exactly what it should look like. It's also in those chapters where he tells us not to get puffed up in our own foolish way of thinking and imagine that we, the church, have replaced Israel in God's economy. And it's in those chapters that Paul uses the analogy of the olive tree. And he says that we as Gentile believers have been grafted in to that olive tree. Not replaced it, but been grafted into it to be fed and nourished by the incredible sap and root that is His covenant love. Unfortunately, throughout the centuries, many in the church have done just exactly what Paul admonished us not to do, and have believed and taught that God's covenant with the Jewish people, with the nation of Israel, is over with, and that the church has now actually replaced Israel. But we're living in a very different day, a different age. We're living in a time where God has reestablished the nation of Israel, where He is keeping promises that He made millennia ago. He's bringing the Jewish people back from all of the nations of their dispersion. And He is establishing them, planting them, blessing them, encouraging them, prospering them. And through that relationship, He's giving the nations a glimpse of His incredible character. And He's giving us, as the church, an opportunity to repent of our historic arrogance and stand in support and true friendship with the nation and people of Israel. So I'd like to give you a challenge. As you finish reading through the Bible this year and hopefully join us to do it again next year, I want you to look and see Israel written on practically every page of that book. And every time you see it, I want you to remember, God is not talking about the church. He's talking about Israel, a very real place, this place. And I want you to cry out to Him and ask Him to give you His heart for this place. A heart of mercy, a heart of humility, a heart of love, a heart of solidarity. And I want you to ask Him what role He would have you play in the amazing reconciliation that's happening between the church in Israel this day. What would He have you do? How would He have you participate as part of the living example of God's passionate love for His covenant nation and people?